Welcome to another episode of The Narrative. I have my guest here, Victor Cabrera, founder of the Alma Dance Company. He recently founded his own dance company this past February, and his mission is really revolved around growth and leaving his mark in the world, particularly through dancing. Victor, if you want to
Yes,
introduce yourself a
sir.
bit.
Hey, everybody. My name is Victor Cabrera. Again, as he mentioned, I just launched my dance company in February. And overall, I'm just super excited to share my passion and my craft with everyone. And most importantly, I'm super happy to be here. So,
I'm happy to have you, my boy.
yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes,
shoot.
sir. Yes, sir. Not me as well. This is a beautiful thing.
Yes. All right. The first thing I really wanted to ask you is, dancing is your thing. Since what? Since you were how old?
Honestly, so for me, my dance journey literally started like out of the womb. Like
Out of the womb.
out of the womb. Like I was just always a kid that just gravitated toward dancing. Watching Michael Jackson, watching step up movies. I was that kid that was just, in the middle of Walmart, in the middle of Stop and Shop, just like doing random dance moves. I was just always intrigued by dancing. But as far as like my salsa bachata journey, that really came about when I was like 14 years old. Because my aunt, she put me and my sister in dance classes. And at first it was, pretty chill,
Mm-hmm.
laid back, a bunch of older people. I was like, oh, whatever. My aunt used to like, drag me to practice and all that. But then once I went out dancing for the first time, that's when I really got to see the culture of what salsa on is, salsa bachata dancing in general. Just seeing the whole like underground community behind, the culture. That's really what sold me. So that's kind of what got me here.
What part of that culture really left an impact on you to really decide, you know what, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to really pursue long term.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a loaded question because there's a lot of things that draw me to the culture and to the scene and all that. But I think the first thing that I noticed was just how pleasant everybody was, how much fun people were having. Again, I've seen a bunch of different people from different ethnic backgrounds, all just dancing, laughing, having a good time, and I'm like, wow, like that's really dope. So then I would say that was probably the first one, but I would say the most important thing for me is just
Yeah.
self-expression. I have never really felt like I had any other outlet to express myself the way that dance gives me.
And it's funny you say that, right? Because I find in the Rhode Island dance scene, you have a very unique flavor, a very unique style. Where would you say you draw some of your inspiration from to dance the way that you do?
Oh, definitely. So for me, it's definitely Eddie Torres Senior,
Uh-huh.
Eddie Torres Junior, Adolfo, even the Ayala brothers. Like me seeing them coming out and just them being brothers kind of just gives like a different dynamic.
Okay.
I really gravitate towards like that mambo flavor. But honestly, I'm a student of the
Yeah.
game.
What
I'm
what
mhm,
is that mambo flavor? Just to give a perspective to
little
the audience
context.
that, yeah, that might
Yeah,
not be in the salsa world.
yeah. So basically, like how I see it is, it's more dynamic. It's
Uh-huh.
more like upbeat, more sharp movements. A lot of footwork. And this salsa is a umbrella term. Really, salsa music is just a accumulation of all different types of like Latin, like
Yeah.
Afro Latin rhythms. But mambo is definitely was built in New York.
And that's
Um,
where these other artists, these dancers that you mentioned, they're from. They're all from New York.
so almost. So Eddie Torres, who is considered like the godfather of like salsa on too. He's from New York, a New Yorican dude. Shout out to the OG. And then he, had his son, Eddie Torres Jr., who he also carried a torch. Adolfo's from Peru, but he trained in New York. And then our
Okay.
Ayala brothers, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
That's what I gotta do my homework on. But I'm pretty sure they're like West Coast,
Yeah.
somewhere West Coast.
I always found it so cool because, so context to the audience as well. I learned salsa from the man, the myth, the legend, and
Appreciate you, bro.
it was really with him that I actually got my taste of the dance world. And we went to these different like really big events. They're called congresses, and it's just really people traveling all over the world, from all over the world, to come to New York, and it's just literally room full of like hundreds of people dancing salsa. There's a separate room full of more hundreds of people dancing bachata. So I find it really cool how you really have all these legends in the salsa world, and they'll all be there. You can just walk up to them and talk to them like
Exactly.
a normal human being.
100%. Like you could literally be like in the elevator on your way back to your hotel room and like bump and shoulder with like legends, like people who really like paved the way in the dance community and the dance scene in general. So this is dope. Honestly, super inspiring. That's why every time I leave,
Hmm.
those events, I just come back home just hungry, just ready to cook, ready to grind, ready to learn more, ready to create. Like it's very inspiring. For those who are just getting into it, it could be a little intimidating too. That's also
Yeah,
like another layer. I'm sure like you probably had your experience where you're
yeah.
like oh shit, I'm in pretty deep. How did you feel like going into your first Congress?
Man, I was excited. I was excited, but this was like literally 2, 3 months into my dance journey,
Yeah,
and I was a baby. I was a baby. I was
seriously.
still learning my 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, my steps,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much all I knew how to do, except for like with the exception of like some spin moves and some really basic stuff. But out there was just like straight killers, like, just like people that had been dancing for years professionally. So it was intimidating just because I was around all these sorts of people and I messed up a lot. But honestly, that experience was it's what really sold me into the
Nice.
dance culture.
Nice.
I got my first dance shoes. What did you
Yes,
say when
sir.
you
Yes, sir. I forgot what I said exactly.
you said I sold my soul to dance.
Oh, did I say that?
Yeah, you said that's how you know you're locked
Oh yeah,
in
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
when you get
yeah.
your first
Yep.
dance shoes.
Exactly. No, 100%. Once I saw him with the dance shoes, I was like, that's over. He's a dancer. He's a mambo dancer. That's
Yes,
it.
sir.
Because
Yes,
he didn't just get
sir.
any pair. My boy got the patent leather Latin ballroom shoes. Once I seen those, I was like, he's sold. That's it.
So I wanted to talk about as well because you mentioned some of your inspirations and like really in Adolfo and the Ayala brothers, Eddie Torres Jr. It's like if you could really have like your chance to really sit down and get to know any of them or learn through and train with any of them intensively, like who would you really choose and why?
That's a really tough question. I'm not gonna lie, that's a really tough question. Um, oh my God, I don't want to give you like a bullshit answer and be like all of them. You know what I'm saying?
uh
Because like that's the truth. But if I had to pick, um, okay, it depends on which way I want to go about it. But I'll say it would probably be Adolfo.
hmm
Just because I really respect and appreciate him as an artist, as a creative, as a dancer, but also I really respect him as a businessman. So because I view this as kind of like a twofold thing, as art, but also as a business, I really appreciate what he did with it. Like him going to Italy, building himself, establishing himself, establish his name, his brand, his everything. But then
Okay.
him also coming back to New York, kind of starting from scratch and just building a crazy, like again, empire mambo, right?
Yeah.
So really admire that. So I feel like me as a businessman slash dancer, that would probably be the most profitable, probably I would
Yeah.
say. But again, Eddie Torres Jr. would also be legendary. For me, again, that's Eddie Torres. That's his
But,
son, So like
uh-huh.
really, a lot of the sauce really came from him. So I'm sure he has a bunch of gems that if he blessed me with, like it'll probably transform me and take me to the next level as well. So
And I know you were telling us a little bit about how really you got indoctrinated into like the dance world
yes, sir.
in a sense. At what point in specific did you realize this is something that I want to turn into like a long-term mission, a passion, a career?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it's definitely accumulation of all kinds of like moments and experiences. One would be like, me just seeing, people that I look up to and seeing the lifestyle that they have and, they're just dancing 24/7, teaching, which is, it's cool. For me, it's just cool like to see 100 people behind you doing exactly what you're doing and like they're having fun and they're learning, they're growing. Basically seeing the greats, but definitely, at some point when I was younger, when I was at like this like outdoors like salsa, there's like live music, salsa band going on, a lot of dancers, and I just remember at some point I just got very emotional, very like teary,
Really?
and I just really felt like almost like I heard his voice tell me like, this is what you have to do.
How old are you when at this event?
At this event, I
Yeah.
was I was probably like 16, the oldest. I was either 15 or 16 years old.
16, you knew this is gonna be my life.
Yep, 100%. since then, that's why every time we went to New York, and anytime we did anything dance related, I'm like super intentional, trying to soak everything, because I knew I was just like, all right. And on top of that, I wasn't really a school guy. I didn't really, I did good in school because I had to. But besides that, nothing of school called me. It was just like
Yeah.
I gotta dance.
Yeah. All right. So really, in terms of because I got to meet you last year. That's when you really started teaching group classes for the first time, right?
Yeah. Yep.
However, that's really like fast forwarding 5 6 years of your dance journey. What would you say are like some key points in like your journey that you think it's important to really share so that we can understand who you are, why dance is so big for you, and really the biggest defining moments for you.
Yeah. I mean, so for me, so I started my journey at JJ Latin Dancers
Hmm.
with the director and instructor Julian Hidalgo. So that's what gave me my foundation. That's where I basically build, the basics, right? Then from there, just fell in love with just social dancing. That was a big part of it. Then as I was going to congresses and festivals and just getting deeper and deeper into the culture, then I started looking into teaching. So then at that point, I started teaching private lessons because there was certain people that reach out to me, like whether it's like friends of ours from the dance scene or whoever. They're like,
Hmm.
hey, I love the way you dance. You should teach me. And I was just like, say less. Like I'll do that. And then at my point, I'm like, I'm reading Rich Dad Poor Dad at some point. So I'm thinking about how I can make money without having to work necessarily.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I started teaching private lessons, dirt cheap. So for my OG private lesson students, shout out to y'all. But super dirt cheap, you know what I'm saying? Just getting my feet wet or whatever. And then I was performing with Julian at a certain point.
Okay.
So that kind of gave me that like performance experience, being behind the scenes with the choreography and stuff like that. Then I joined Cultura Dance Arts
Yeah.
in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Shout out to Brandon. So joined over there. That's when I started to teach group lessons for the first time. Again, shout out to you. Shout out to Cassandra,
Yes,
Stephanie,
sir.
literally all you guys. I can't name all you guys because there's so many. But shout out to you guys. You guys really like sold the deal when it came to like having a group of students behind me that I'm teaching, and I'm really focused on okay, how can I teach better? How can I said it like this time. Maybe I should say it that time. Okay, that person didn't get it because of this, and really just get me into the groove of that. So that Cultura Dance Art, that chapter right there, that gave me that platform to again just further my career, further my journey.
Yeah.
Um,
How would you say like your relationship with dance changed
yeah.
after you started really taking a bigger role into teaching?
Oh yeah. I mean, so I think one thing that it immediately that I learned is it's different from like knowing how to dance really well and
Hmm.
then also teaching. Because like you can know how to dance really well and you can probably have like I would say like 70 to 80% mastery, but you're really not able to teach something unless you like at least 90 to 100% mastery of the move.
Yeah.
So there's certain times where I'm like, oh shit, like I thought I knew that move very well because I do it all the time, but now that let's say you ask me, hey, how do you do that? I'm like, wait, how do you do that? So that's I say that was the biggest thing that I learned from teaching. That is just like you really have to know like that move or the material, the concept like inside and out.
It makes you better too at
Oh,
dancing.
1,000%, 1,000%. So like now is even when I'm dancing myself, I correct myself. You know what? Damn, my technique isn't as sharp right here.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm more aware of like just little subtle things. It could be like the position of your hand. That could just change the whole dynamic of what you're doing.
How do you teach people to find like sabor, the flavor in their dancing, not just in
Hmm.
the steps, but like in the soul of the way that they're dancing?
Yeah. So that's a loaded question.
Hmm.
That's another loaded question. I mean, I feel like this. I feel like it's all right. Knowing the moves, that's like the brain and the skeleton of the dancing. But I feel like that sabor that you're talking about, that flavor, that energy, for me, that comes deep within your soul. And I feel like the some of the ways that you can kind of teach somebody is that by just giving them all the tools to be able to express themselves. So for example, like if I teach you a bunch of shines, a bunch of partner work and different variations doing it, through that you're able to kind of like mess around with them and
Yeah.
really find yourself as a dancer. That's A. B, I'd say also just taking classes with a bunch of dancers,
Yeah.
watch a bunch of videos, like figure out like where your style, where which style and which dancers resonate
Yeah.
with you the most. And then also too just being exposed by somebody who's really tapped into that. So for example, for me, I feel like I'm very tapped into like my natural, like, sabor, right?
Yeah.
But if you're taking class with somebody like that, it's almost infectious.
Hmm. I will say too, like I feel like a big part of it as an instructor, if you really come into the classroom enthusiastic and energetic, passionate, like that, like you said, it's infectious. And I feel like a lot of it comes from like the actual music itself. You know,
Oh,
at
of
least
course.
for me personally, like if I hear one of my favorite songs, I'm gonna wanna like express myself. Like shit, this is my jam right now.
Absolutely.
So like that's definitely what made it for me. It's the fact that we really learned with like slow music, and then we really learned with fun music as well. All right, let's kick up the speed. Now let's see if you guys
Exactly.
can handle this,
Exactly.
right?
Yes. Well, yeah, I mean, just to add to what you're saying, like, I feel like anybody that has taken a class from me, they know I'm all about high energy music. And then also B, just again, just enhancing the speed. Just because for me, that's what I used to do. I still do to this day. Like, to this day, I still do that. Like, if I could do Suzy Q with slow music, amen. But if you put a song that's like virtually impossible to do a basic to, and now you ask me to do a Suzy Q, like now it's like a challenge. Now it's kind of fun. Now it's like, all right, let me see if I can execute that Suzy Q. Like I know I'm gonna look ridiculous doing it, but you know what though? Let me condition my body to get to that point. You know?
Yeah. For those that don't know what a Suzy Q is, I'm gonna just edit that right here if you're watching the video podcast on Spotify or YouTube. So that's what it looks like right there. So I actually also wanted to ask you because I feel like this is really important. Like as a student learning how to dance is like, what is like your aim? Like how do you want like students to feel after they finish one of your classes?
That's a beautiful question. So for me, overall, first things first, I want them to feel like they're leaving out of there with something, right? They may not have to leave out with everything, because a lot of classes, especially as you get higher up in levels, like information dense. Like there's a bunch of different things you're trying to learn at the same time, whether it's angles, whether it's body movement, whether it's footwork, whether it's partner work, whatever. Like there's a bunch to learn. So for me, first things first, I want them to feel like they learned, something, right? The next thing is definitely just confidence, right? I want them to feel confident. I want them to feel like, okay, I'm getting better, right? Which kind of relates to the learning thing. Definitely another major one is having fun. For me, I love what I do, so
Yeah.
I would love for people to feel that love through me, and then also, by themselves with the music or whatever. Like I just want people to just love this thing and just have fun with this thing because that's what it means to me. Um, and then fourthly, challenged as well. If they're walking out of there like it's like too easy, then I feel like I'm not doing my job. I need a bit of a challenge factor to it, because if not, again, I'll put the music faster. I'll throw in another 8 count. Like we're gonna make sure it's spicy.
Oh man. So I know that there is a lot of people like me that really never learned how to dance when they were younger. Like I was that kid that was shy, never really en- entertained my aunts when they said, "Venga a bailar, come dance with me." I
Yeah.
said, "Nah, I'm just chilling, playing my on my DS." What would you really
Yeah.
say for those people that are really nervous to start their dance journey and really take the first steps, take their first class? Maybe even people that already do know some of the basics from their family, but aren't sure if they really want to take that extra step. What would you say?
For those who feel like that, first things first, I want you guys to feel that, it's normal to feel that way. Like any new journey, anything that you start from scratch, like, you don't know nothing. You might see people around you that do know a lot, so it could be intimidating, but just know everyone starts from square one, especially in our classes. So in our classes, our basic beginner class, we don't even do movement first. We do musicality right away. Make sure you guys understand what to listen for, right? How to develop that ear. And then we start getting into the basic steps. So what we do is progressive classes. So we'll start off with the musicality basics, then we'll jump to the side basic, then we'll jump into the left turn, right turn, and etc. And just build you up little by little.
Yeah. And what I wanted to add on as well is like when I started my dance journey,
Mm-hmm.
like I felt like it made me into a more confident individual. Like, I was less afraid to walk up to random people and have a conversation with them. Like literally the way it goes for in like a dance social where people are just dancing salsa bachata is like you literally walk up to other people that you don't know, complete strangers, and ask them to dance.
Mm-hmm.
And you literally get to know them, you break the ice, and you're just dancing. So
Mm-hmm.
it adds to your energy, your confidence. all sorts of things like that.
100%. Again, I 100% relate. Prior to my dance journey, I was super in my shell, super introverted. But again, like you mentioned, like in the community and in the just the social dance dynamic, like you're almost forced to get out of your shell because if you don't go, especially us as
Mm-hmm.
leads typically ask to follow for a dance typically.
Mm-hmm.
However, in the community, it goes both ways. Like sometimes I'll just be sitting there, and then a follow might be like, "Hey, you want to dance?"
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're not ready to like break through that barrier, the barrier will be broken on its own. So,
And it's an amazing thing too because when you're dancing
mhm,
with somebody, it's a form of communication.
absolutely,
It's a form of connection. You can
absolutely.
go anywhere in the world, and even if you don't speak the same language as somebody, you're able to really gain a new friend, gain a new connection
Mhm.
because you're able to talk to them through dance.
100%.
So that leads into my next question that I wanted to
Okay.
ask you, and it's
Okay.
like, outside of the technique, outside of the music, what would you say is actually, how would you convey that raw connection of dance when you're actually dancing with somebody else?
So how would I describe it?
Yeah, how would you convey it?
There's so many ways. There's so many ways. Like it's such a like spiritual, like powerful situation because literally two souls coming to one. And actually, it's even more than that because then you have like the musicians and the singers of the song. They're putting their soul into the music, and then here come these two dancers coming together in the mix. So it's a very spiritual. The best way I'll say is just very spiritual. I'm trying to think of an analogy. I always have like analogies on deck, especially in my classes. But
There you go.
I'll say one analogy is almost just like two people coming together to sing a duet, or two people coming together in the kitchen cooking this meal. You know what I'm saying? Like adding their own flavors, and it's very spiritual in general. So I'm just gonna say it's a very spiritual experience. Again, there's nothing better than it, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And it's funny because I've had some experiences where it's like it'll be like the people that you least expect to the most, and you'll just have like the best dance with them. And it's like another analogy you can put it is like you have like a blank canvas, and then you guys just paint out a masterpiece
Masterpiece,
out of nowhere,
and out of raw emotions,
out of raw emotion, out of your pure feeling of what you feel for the music.
100%, 100%. And again, every person you dance with is just like anything else. You talk to anybody else, it's gonna be unique and it's gonna be different. Like the same conversations that we might have, it'll be different for if I'm having a conversation with, let's say, your cousin
Mm.
or let's say your best friend. Like even though they're related to you in some way, it's gonna be completely unique to what we just had, what we just shared. So it's the same thing with dance. Very beautiful, very spiritual. Again, I'm biased, it's what I do for a living, A and B for my life. But for you guys, I'd highly recommend 10 out of 10.
Yes, sir. Pull up to a class.
Pull up to a
The Alma
class.
Dance Company
Yes, sir.
in Providence.
In Providence, Rhode Island. Again, those looking into starting a new hobby, looking into connect with new cool people. Because let's face it, like as an adult, besides let's say church, maybe school, maybe even work, like what opportunities do you have to connect with people? Like not many. So
Yeah.
like through the dance community, as you know, bro, we have made a ton of friends
Mm-hmm.
through dancing. Like there's people that, again, I danced with them one time in let's say New York, and I'll see them randomly in Boston, and they're like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm just like, "Oh shoot, what's up?" You know. But
It's
again,
like
that
family.
it's like family because again, we share that same common love, that same common language.
Yes, sir.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe. So definitely, check us out. Mondays, basic beginner class. Tuesday, advanced beginner. Watch out the Wednesdays. Friday, movement theory class. And then also we're hosting events throughout the month. So if you want to just come, just hang out, see what it's all about, definitely just come check us out. Have a good time.
Yes, sir. So I wanted to ask you, like, in terms of really your vision of what you have for your company and really what you want it to stand for, like, what do you want that to be?
Yeah. So very powerful question. For me, as far as my dance company, as far as the brand, the legacy, I just really want it to be a space where people can just learn, you know, bulletproof technique as far as learning how to dance. I want people to just be well-rounded dancers and every aspect of it. I want people to be able to express themselves, find themselves, as dancers and also just as people. I want people to feel motivated to just keep pushing the culture forward. So, for example, I would like to be able to be like, here's a torch. and then have like people from my dance company, whether
Yeah.
it's students or teachers, just grab the torch and just take it next where somewhere else, somewhere farther. Um,
How do you mean if you want to elaborate that on a little bit more?
well, the thing is, whether it could be, it could happen in different ways. So one way could be, they just take the Del Alma company to the next level, like a level that I never imagined. For me, I feel like us as humans, as just creatures of God in general, like we're constantly evolving.
Hmm.
You know, there was then horse carriages, then horseless carriages. So I don't know what that's gonna look like in the Del Alma space. I'm always dreaming and having visions and stuff. But it'll be cool to see somebody just take the Del Alma brand and name somewhere next level. Or even if, let's say, maybe not even Del Alma. Let's say, for example, they start in Del Alma and they help build Del Alma, right? And then they just start their own company, and then they just take it and run in their own way with their own company. Like that would be beautiful to me to be able to be like, damn, like I help push the culture forward.
Yeah.
Like I was a part of that process. Like again, I'm not gonna be here forever, So if I could see people come for me, grow for me, and just be able to share that love with me, and I would like to be that elder, like yeah.
What mark do you want to leave on the culture?
On the culture, man, innovation, definitely authenticity, love, like just a lot of warmth. I feel like you're gonna bump into fellow dancers who are really good and really awesome people inside and out, and then you also might run into some dancers who are extremely good but shitty people. So I would like to push more of the warm
Yeah.
people, positive people, people that are really about the culture, not about necessarily politics or money or fame,
It's about community.
about community, about the culture, like just overall. That's kind of like what I'm about, what I stand for.
Yeah. It's very interesting, right? Because I feel like our generation, the
Hmm.
younger generation, they're really starting to fall out of their roots when it comes to like knowing how to dance,
Yeah,
wanting to go out of their way to go dance.
exactly.
What's your perspective on that and really just that topic in general?
Well, that means a lot to me because for me, I'm Puerto Rican and Guatemalan, and I'm really close to my Puerto Rican side. And again, I am one of those no sabo kids, where I grew up really speaking English, went to English schools. Parents, my mom and dad, they speak Spanish, but mainly English. My friends speak English. So for me, through dance, I'm actually able to stay in touch with my roots. Like this kind of gives me that opportunity to stay in touch, to like share my pride of me being
Yeah.
Latino, me being Puerto Rican. Like I remember we had a family reunion one time, and all my cousins came and they were like, "Oh, you don't speak Spanish? Oh, that's crazy." Well, blah, yada, yada. Then they started playing salsa music, and I started ripping it. They were like, "Oh shit, all right, maybe he is Puerto Rican." So for me, dance is really huge when it comes to staying in touch with the roots,
Yeah.
for sure.
I would say in my experience as well, I definitely want to be like that one family member, that one deal, that one uncle where it's like at my family get-togethers, if you're coming to my house, we're not gonna have the TV on.
Facts.
We're not gonna
Facts.
be watching no
No
movies.
movies.
We're gonna be
Please, no movies. Please, bro.
we're
Please.
gonna be we're gonna be dancing. There's gonna be music playing.
Yes.
There's gonna be
Jokes.
jokes.
Exactly. Like us the uncles getting together, aunts getting together, busting balls, like just chopping it up,
I'm gonna be that deal that's gonna be forcing. I don't want that to sound in a bad way, but like I'm gonna be bringing up the little kids, be like, nah, you gotta come dance at least one song, and they can do whatever you want for the rest of the night.
Exactly.
You're gonna learn today, though.
Exactly. Same here. Same here. Literally, because the thing is, like, they get, your nieces and nephews, your grandkids, they're gonna remember that shit. Like, that's what they're gonna remember. They'll be like, damn, I remember Theo Adrian, bro. Always pulling us to dance, always blah, blah. And shit, you never know. They might be my next rival.
They're gonna be starting their own dance company.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna have to be like, damn, who's them? No.
Bringing their own flavor.
Right.
So, I actually wanted to segue this into really, what would you say is like lost in terms of like people and like in terms of like people wanting to really dance, right? Because I feel like nowadays it's like a lot of like the younger generation, like they go out clubbing, they go out partying, but it's not really rooted in our culture anymore.
Yeah.
It's more so really Americanized, I would say. Like And even if they do play Spanish music, it's like people aren't really living the culture
Yeah.
like we used to.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so as far as like people like going to the clubs and bars and not dancing,
Yeah, just like people kind of like falling out of touch with our roots,
yeah,
dancing, like our culture.
yeah. I think you said it earlier, or maybe just a conversation we had. I think it's just first things first, us being Americanized. Like a lot of people, like they have a strong cultural background. They come to the States and then it just like just funnels into like this like McDonald's, Burger King fucking lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Where it just becomes just like just plain and generic and just like lack of like authenticity and all that
No
craziness.
more arroz con pollo, just McDonald's and
It's just
Burger King.
McDonald's and Burger King, bro. Like damn. But you know,
Yeah,
as far as people not really getting in touch with their culture, not really like dancing and stuff like that, like you see people going to bars and clubs and just just flexing and finessing and just like taking videos. I think really just people they're more focused on like how they look. They're more focused on like not looking stupid. I think people actually want to dance because I think dancing is like innate in us. Like if you show a baby music, they're gonna be dancing. They're gonna be moving by default. They're not worried about what they look like. They're not worried about what that person's thinking. They're just feeling the vibrations and just
hmm
moving through them, right? So I think, if people were more exposed to like the dance community, like
yeah,
salsa and bachata the way that we are, like actually get a taste for it, actually, experience something new, something different. I think that will kind of, bring them back
yeah.
into it.
And I also think like you being like what you're 23 right now.
23 years old. Yep.
You're like the youngest pioneer that's in Rhode Island that's actually pushing this movement forward. Like the
Absolutely.
fact that we have like someone from the younger generation, because with the other dance companies, it's typically older people, and I feel like with younger people, like if they see someone that's young that's also pushing it forward, like it'll
Yeah.
be like easier, I guess, to really catch their attention
Of course.
and let them know, hey, it's cool what we're doing. Like come have a good time with us. We're all having a good time over here.
Absolutely.
Do you have like any ideas of like ways to really bring the younger generation back into the culture?
I mean, I think obviously, like you said, first and first, me them just seeing me and my age, me being young, they could resonate with that. Like we typically resonate with things that we relate to. So obviously, me being a ex college student, if there's any college students that see me and they hear about me, you know, building my dance company, teaching during college, like that could resonate with somebody. I think just obviously social media as well. Like our generation, like what used to be the news for the older generation is now social media for us. So I think obviously me just getting more exposure on social media, people our age seeing what's going on. I think most importantly, people just being in it, like just experiencing it. Like let's say for example, like if we go out to let's say crib, right?
Uh-huh.
En la sala, right? We go out there and then we meet some cool people and they hear, oh, you guys just came from what's a dance social, boom, and then we connect with them, or let's say they go to the next dance social that
Yeah,
we host or whatever.
cause not for nothing, like there's lots of people that want to dance. They want
Hmm.
to dance bachata. They want to dance salsa. But
Yeah,
it's like at least for me, I wasn't even aware of the dance community, like the dance scene, what socials are out there
of
until I
course,
started taking classes. It's like
exactly. It's
you
underground,
you kind of have to be like in the know to know.
100%. So that's what I'm saying. I think it's just overall, and it's not even just me. I think it's like I'm like a chess piece in this whole situation. But there's again other dance companies. I feel like as we just continue to just showcase and highlight how beautiful the dance scene is, that's going to draw people in. Because again, like you said, people don't know.
Hmm.
So many people tell me that, oh my God, I wish I would have discovered this a long time ago. You know?
Yeah.
So, and again, a lot of times it starts with just the classes or some people's events. Like for example, we help. Well, I teach at Francesca's, which is an event in downtown Providence, and that's kind of like a good mix of like dancers and also non-dancers. And a lot of those people, they go in as non-dancers, and then before you know it, they've signed up at somebody's classes, whether it's my classes or somebody else's classes. So I think just overall, just more exposure,
Yeah.
more exposure. Again, I like that the hookah killed the dance floor concept. Whoever initiated that, like kudos to you. That was fire, very spot on. Because again, with hookah, social media, like people just want to just flex,
Yeah.
and it's just like there's no real like genuine connection there. There's no real like nothing there. Like it's just no activity. You
Yeah.
know, you can only flex so much.
Yeah. I know that you're somebody that sees beyond just the art. In what ways has dance taught you about yourself and the world that nothing else could?
Huge question. I love the question though. You hit me with fire. So what ways have dance taught me about myself
And the world.
and the world? There's just so much. And it's crazy because I did kind of have an answer for this. Um, okay. I think one thing for sure is just how powerful it is to just be yourself. Do things for the sake of yourself and just for the sake of the things itself. Like for example, anytime that I would dance, and let's say for example, I have the mentality of not looking dumb or let's say, trying to impress. Let's say for example, if I'm dancing with like, oh my God, I want to flex, I want to like look good or whatever. Those be the most difficult dances to get through because I'm dancing from here instead of from here. Anytime I dance from here, it's when I have the best dances. That's when I connect with my partner the most. That's when I'm enjoying the music the most. And for me, I just think that just translates to life in general. Like anytime you do something from here, you're always gonna have the best results.
From your heart.
From your heart, your soul,
Mm-hmm.
aka del alma, right? That's what my whole brand stems from. Everything that we do, that we try to do, comes from that place inside. So
Yeah.
for me, I'll say that's probably the biggest thing that I learned is just being you. I remember I used to be, it's so funny. Like people be like, "Oh, you're a dancer." They would expect me to be like breakdancing and stuff like that. And like I would be kind of like, I don't want to say insecure because that's not really the best word, but I would feel weird when I'd be, "Oh, I dance salsa." Like, so I'll kind of almost hide that salsa identity. It wasn't until I got deeper and deeper into it where I'm like, fuck that. Like, I'm gonna just be me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm that salsa ass dude, and that's what I stand on.
Yeah.
So, but again, even through that, now just being yourself is just
Yeah.
the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah. You said since sliced bread.
Since sliced bread, yeah.
It's funny because I can relate as
Yeah.
well. Because when I actually some insight into when I was starting this podcast, I originally just wanted to be just straight value. Just like, I wanted like every clip that you seen of me to just be like just a gold mine of like some sort of life changing principle that you can like really change your life with.
Yeah, transform everything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And really, my inspiration behind that was like Alex Hormozy. Like literally any little clip quote that you see of him is like a principle that you can use to bring your life, do a whole entire 180 with your life and get rich.
Exactly. Exactly.
But then I realized I'm like, it's better. Like, yes, I have tons of value that I can share, but I'm gonna do it in a way that is just personalized to my personal journey.
100%.
Because as if I'm trying to really be someone and like or provide a certain value, like there's gonna be tons of other people that can provide that same value better than I can, but nobody can be me better than I can be me.
1,000%, bro. Same thing with the dancing thing, right? Like I remember I used to like try to gatekeep. I try to gatekeep moves.
It's
So
not gatekeeping the moves.
yeah, man, I'm serious, man. I try to gatekeep moves, like, cause like, so for example, like, I used to not post my dance videos at all. Two reasons. First reason, most importantly, I'm a perfectionist, and I'm like, oh, I don't like the way I look. You know what I'm saying? That was the first thing. And the second thing is just like, damn, that's a fly ass move. Look, like, I don't want anybody to take it, right? You feel me? Like that was my thought process. But then shout out to my aunt. She used to always tell me, like, yeah, somebody they could do the move that you're doing, but they'll never be able to do the move how you do the move.
That's facts.
And that's the same thing what you're just saying. So like literally be you. Like
That's literally
there's
the
so
secret
much
sauce.
that's a secret sauce. Like even it could be me like let's say having a conversation or whatever. Like I've noticed like if I try to be funny, any joke, any type of like one liner flops. Right? But the moment I'm just like chopping it up as being myself, like people be laughing, people have a good time, people love me. And I'm like, oh shit, like all I gotta do is be myself and I win. I'm like,
Who would have thought?
all right, who would have thought? Shit. But yeah, no, I 100% resonate with that. Being you, man. Because the thing is, for you in your situation with the podcast, like, obviously people can hear Hormozy, right, and be
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, that's so profound, that's so powerful," but some people may not resonate with Hormozy, right? Like he has a different background. You have a unique background that people who come from where you come from, or who are on a similar journey as you or similar chapter as you, like they're gonna be like, "Damn, you know what? Bro's right." You know what I'm saying? Like you could have said the same thing that he said, but it just hit different coming from you.
Yeah.
You know?
On the topic of being you and nobody being you better than you can be you,
Yeah.
in terms of your your mission with your brand, with your legacy that you want to leave behind. If you could only teach one thing through dance beyond just the movement, what would it be?
That's tough. That's tough. There's so much stuff, man. Um, One thing I could teach my students beyond dance, beyond the movement. Um, Again, besides being you, right? Because I
Yeah,
kind of already said that already. Um,
it's probably the most important part.
which is definitely the most important. That's what I'm saying. That's a number one. I could say that, but I could say something different as well. So just giving people the ability to express themselves. So like, for some people, they're kind of born with the ability to just talk their shit and just communicate and not worry about, what people think or whatever. But in most cases, people they are in their shell. So for example, there have been plenty of my students who came in and I could just tell off bat, like they're not fully confident in themselves, they're not really comfortable expressing themselves. So for me, when I see that, that kind of motivates me to like kind of pry the real them out of them. Not by force, obviously, just by just
Just letting them know, hey, we're family. You
exactly
can be yourself. Nobody cares.
a hundred
Nobody's judging you.
100%. And I even just me saying it, like people will feel it. Like if you're in my classes, anybody that's taken my classes, they know like whether it's me, whether it's my aunt, whether it's other students, whether it's, other, admin members that we have on our team, like we're literally a family. Like it's literally a family business. Like it's literally all of us. Like we've been kicking it since I was like 16 years old. So like we've been tight knit since then, even before the company. So now it's just, with our students.
Yeah.
So definitely just overall just giving people the ability to express themselves, get them out their shell, because that's probably one of the biggest transformations that dance had on me.
Yeah. And it's really cool that you have this really genuine energy. Like, I feel like
Appreciate
just
it.
this genuine energy is really what's needed to really build a community. Like, if it wasn't for that, like, warm energy, like, I feel like we wouldn't be as close. But that's what really
100%.
is the foundation of our friendship as well.
1,000%. That's definitely the first thing that I felt we hit it off on immediately. Because you're not gonna connect with everybody,
Yeah.
but it's, for me, I value authenticity. Like, a lot of people in my life, they're real people, whether they're a little fucked up in some areas or not. Like they are who they say they are.
Yeah.
Like they're the same person every day, and I value that consistency. I value just that raw organicness.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And Victor, again, like I really appreciate you for taking the time and really coming to the set.
Yes, sir.
One of my first guests here. One of the last questions that I really wanted to ask you, it's in terms of legacy.
Okay.
In terms of like, when it's all said and done and it's 40 years into the future, 50 years into the
Mm-hmm.
future, you're an older man, what sort of legacy do you want to leave behind with the work, with your mosaic that you're putting together?
Yeah. I mean, overall, for myself and for my immediate family and extended family, I want to be free. So my goal for myself overall just to be free. But as far as legacy, I want to teach people. So I want to teach people that it's not only okay to follow your dreams and make them happen, but also achievable. Like you could literally follow your dreams just by A, having unlimited faith, and B, constantly working on, your mission and your dreams, but also yourself. Just constantly just focus on being a better person. And for me, if I continue with what I'm doing, I can't see how I'm not gonna succeed.
Yeah.
Because all I'm thinking about and feeling about is just being better, making it happen. So once I get to the point where it actually happened, I definitely want to just leave a legacy where people could pursue their dreams, whether it's artistic, whether it's a sport, whether it's whatever, a podcast,
Yeah,
right? Like I want to be able to be that living proof. Oh shit, you could do whatever you put your mind to, which is very generic. We hear that a lot growing up,
yeah.
but I want to be living proof that it's true.
Unrealistic dreams are only unrealistic to those who don't take action.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, so that's basically the overarching legacy I want to leave. Just oh shit, Theo Vic fucking was dancing salsa and he made his whole
Yeah,
empire. He was successful. You know, Grandpa Vic, great Grandpa Vic.
yeah.
Swagged out. You know what I'm saying? Cool as fuck.
With the golden ring.
With the golden rings, swagged out. I mean shit.
All right. Well, again, thank you for being a part of this with me, a part of my journey with the podcast, leaving a message for the world. Um, if you had like one thing, a message that you wanted to leave from my audience, what would you leave them with?
Well, first things first. Stay tuned, right? Keep following the narrative because I can only foresee it blowing up and becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. Adrian, very bright individual, super. He had head on the right in the right place, good head over his shoulders, and the work ethic, all that. Like you have everything that you need to succeed. So stay tuned for that success. At least as far as my end, I just really hope that I inspire people to be themselves, to follow their dreams. It doesn't matter how silly, how uncommon, unorthodox it is. Just be you, follow your mission. Don't listen to anybody. Again, also, don't forget to tap in. Follow my Instagram at VICTORCVBRERA, right? And then also the dance page at Del Alma Dance Co. Definitely tap in. Let's get started with some salsa classes, bachata classes, and who knows, depending on when you tune into this episode, whatever classes we got to offer, and most importantly, our dance socials. Again, we like to have a lot of fun, really expose you guys to the culture and what the dance community is really about. And just overall, I love you guys. I love my boy Adrian, man. We just here to build.
Yes, sir. And I'll tell you what, though, a selling point for me for his socials, the fact that there's snacks and free water.
Yes, sir.
Pull up.
You can't
Free
go wrong.
snacks.
You can't go wrong.
Free drinks.
Yes, sir. Unlimited vibes. Unlimited vibes. Yes.
All right. Well, if you made it this far, we appreciate you for sticking it out with us, and you have a great rest of your day, rest of your night, wherever you are in the world. Thank you. Peace.